Hi guys, in this lecture we are going to explain how to use Formik in our React Native project. Formik is a small library that help you with the most annoying part of for managing forms. It helps you to getting values from the form and it help you to validation and error messaging, handling form submission. So we can explain, we can show an example how to use Formik in our React Native project. So I already created one project here and I am going to use Formic creating a login page using Formic. So we can just remove the unwanted codes. Yeah, we can remove all this code. I'm making this app.js file as a functional component. So I'm going to remove all this code. Yeah, fine. We can remove this one also. So we are going to create a login page using Formic. So we can just add a view here. Style flex equal to 1 and background color red. Okay, now if you just refresh the screen you can see red is coming. Now I am going to create an input component which is I am going to use in login form. So I am going to create one folder here, src. Okay, so inside src I am going to create one more folder, components. Okay, so inside this component I am going to create one file, input. So we can just create input.js. So this input file I am going to use as a component in my app.js file. So I am going to create this as a text input component. So here I am going to import react from react. Fine, now we can just import view and text input from React Native. Okay, then we can just create a functional component here, const input. Here I am going to create a functional component. We can just export this one, export default input. Fine, now I am going to create a view here with a text input. I'm just creating a view style. I'm giving a width of 19% and a height of 50. Okay, fine, we can just close this view, and inside this view what I am going to do here, I am going to create one text input. Here I am going to give the value here. Just we can give random value for now. We can just give default for now. We can give some. Okay, now I am going to style this one. Okay, width 100%, or we can just give flex equal to 1 and a background color green, so we can easily identify this one. Is fine. Now I am going to import this component in my app.js file. So import input from src components input. Now I am going to use this component here. So just using view here I am going to create input. Yes, now if I refresh the screen I can see, yes, my input box is here. I am going to remove this old by default style. Then I am going to create a container style here, container. Fine, I can just copy this whole thing to my container here, and I am going to give justify content sender, also align item sender, and I am going to remove this background color. Fine, now I am going to refer this here, styles dot container. Fine, if I refresh the screen, let's see, yes, the input box is coming here. Yes, fine. Now what I am going to do is I'm just going to give a background color for green. Fine, now here I am going to create one more style sheet, const style. We can just import style sheet dot create input container. Here I am going to use this whole thing, so you can just create one more style input. Fine, I can just use this one to here. Now I'm going to refer this whole style here, style dot input container, and also style dot input. So we have just created a one input box input container, so we can just remove this bracket also. Yeah, fine. Now I need to import the style sheet, so we can just import the style sheet also. Now if you look in the screen, yes, same thing, we can remove this background color to some gray, or we can just remove this one. We can give a back border of one border, yeah, border width, yes, one, and we can give a border color of gray and a border radius 5. Let's see, yes, I just created a input box. Now what I am going to do, just I can give a label or placeholder here. So we can just inherit the placeholder, we can just create one props here. So if you are not understanding props, you can just refer my reactjs from videos. I am just explaining placeholder in that videos. So I'm just created placeholder. I'm just going to pass the placeholder from here. So you can just pass placeholder enter email. Okay, now I'm just going to replicate this here, input enter password. Yes, fine. And I am also giving one margin vertical to this container, so you can just separate email and password. You can just go into the document. Yes, now what I need is, yeah, I can just give the value from here. So for the value we can accept one more props. Fine. Now also there will be one more important property, on change text, right? So we need to trigger on change text also for this text input. We can just add on change text also here. Yeah, fine. So I am passed the three properties from here, placeholder and the value on change text. One more thing I am going to pass here is the error message. Okay, so I am going to pass the error and I am going to display error message here. Okay, so text for error message it should be always red, and so I'm giving a color red and I am going to display that error. Okay, now if I just go to that screen, yes, text should be imported here, so I'm going to import text here. Now if I just give this error from my parent component, you can just give an error enter valid email. Now if I just look into my scene, we can just refresh the screen. Yeah, text is already imported. Yeah, text is already imported. Yes, we can refresh the screen once more. Yeah, enter the valid name. You can see, I can see the error also. We can just reduce the font size to 3, and I can also give the height for this one. We can just give the height for this one so that it will not shrink. So we can just give height for this one. We can give around 27. Yes, fine. So it is just going very small. Yeah, enter valid name. You can just give a small margin top to this error component, so just 3. Yes, it we can just increase the height of this one, so this one become 5 6. Yes, enter the valid name. We can just once more you can increment the value. Yeah, enter the value name. So meanwhile we need to improve this size, container size also. We can just go to 17 and we can just give 67. Fine. Now so we can just use. Yeah, now it's fine. And so for the input box, we can just give a padding left 10. Yeah, it's giving a padding. Also for this error message, we can just create one more style here. So I'm just copying this old style to here. Fine. We can just give the same padding left for this error component also, so it will just be aligned with the text input. So we can just refer that one here, style dot error. Yeah, fine. See, now what we need is we need a button here, so we are going to create one more component, button dot js. Clear? So I'm just scoping this whole things from here, and I am going to create a functional button component. So button, right? Now here I am going to export this one, export default button. Fine. Here I am going to create a button, so I can just use this same styling for button also. We can just create a style sheet here. So we can just change this input container into button container. So we can just view into button container, view style dot button container. We can just add a view here and a text submit. Fine. I can also give align item center so that the text will be at the center, justify content center also. So we can just do this one also. Yeah. Now I am going to use button in my app.js file. So I'm going to import this one, import button from src components. We have two imports, so I'm going to import button. Here I'm just giving button. Now let's see. Yes, this button is created. We can just give a background color. We can just give black. Fine. Now let's see. Yeah, button is there. We can just give a border radius 10, and we can just reduce the height into 60. Yeah, fine. I need to change the text color also here. Style color will be white. Yeah, submit button. I can also just add the font size to text. So we can just add font size into 28. Submit. It should be. We can just say 24, maybe 24. Yeah, submit button is fine. You can just reduce some more. It can be 18. Yeah, submit button is fine. Now I need to make this touchable, so I'm touchable opacity. We can just change it to touchable opacity, right? So I'm going to import touchable opacity also. It's automatically imported. Now if I just go into the project, see the button is touchable. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to pass on press function from here. So we can just create an on press function, alert hi. Now for the button, I can inherit the props. So here on press, fine. Now if I just press the button, it should give me an alert code. Okay, yes, the button is created. We have created the text input and we have created a login form. Now we are going to use Formic for validation and getting the values. So we can add Formic. Okay guys, we have successfully completed our login screen. Now what we need is we need to introduce Formic into this form, right? So for that one, what I am going to do first, I am going to install this library. So we can just install the library yarn add Formic, right? So it will install a small JavaScript library. As it is a JavaScript, we don't want to reinstall the application, so it will be available without reinstall. Okay, we have done with the Formic. Now what I am going to do, I am going to copy this one, import Formic here. Fine. Now the next thing what I am going to do, I am going to copy all this thing from here, okay, and I am going to close this one here. Yes, we have closed our Formik. Now if I refresh the screen, see it will be the same. So we have encapsulated or encapsulated our old form into Formik. Now if you look into this thing, we can see some properties from Formik. One is initial values. So we should always apply initial values for the Formik, right? And also we can see on submit. This is a callback. When we'll submit it, this callback will be triggered. And there is handle change, handle blur, handle submit, values. These all properties, all functions we are going to use in our form. So first what we are going to do, we are going to supply initial value. As which already email is there, I am going to add password also. Okay, so we got two initial values. Now on submit, I need to trigger a common function. What I am going to do, I am going to create a function here on handle submit. We can just create a function and I can accept this parameter here and just pass this reference to on submit. Fine, whenever this on submit is called, I can get these values here. Now I can trigger the API on the handle submit function. I can trigger validation, everything that I can do in handle submit. Clear? Now what next thing what I need is I'm going to add values, right? So I can just add value here. So value I will get from values dot email. Clear? Where I am getting this email, because I declared this initial value email, right? Also same thing I can do for password. Where this values is coming, because I already declared initial values, this should be same. So values dot password. Fine. Now what next thing I need is whenever the value change, I need to set into the values, right? So I need to get the on change text functionality. For on change text, if you check the documentation, you can see on change text is calling a one function handle change, right? So we can just call that function handle change. And I need to pass the same property, whatever I am given as initial value, whatever I am accepting the value, here it is email. So I'm just add that email here. Same for password, I can just copy this one. On change text password. Fine. Now if I just refresh the screen, I can see whenever I'm typing something, it is setting to this value. If I type password, it is setting to the password. So we have completed our values setting. Now we can we can just pass the handle submit also here. Right? Now go to the Flipper. Open the Flipper. Application. Here is the Flipper. Yes, my Flipper is opening. Here is my device. Close this one. Go to the log section. Yes. When we have the logs, now we can just refresh the screen once more. See, the screen is refreshing here. Now what I need, whenever I submit the value, whatever value I have typed for email and password, it should print here, right? So we can just put one more condition here, printing. Fine, we can just type email, I am Shimil. Just we can give Just Academy email, justacademy@gmail.com, and I am giving a password, df. Okay. Now here what I am going to do, just I am going to click the handle submit. See, this value is printed in the handle submit function, right? Now what we have missed here, we have to pass the secure text entry. So we can just secure text entry because this is password. So we can just search the property secure text entry in React Native, right? Yes, this one. So we can just copy this one and paste it here. Also we can just give this property into input. We can just property here. Fine. Now if I refresh the screen, the password should not be visible, right? Yeah, we can just refresh the screen, or we can just, yeah, now if I type password, it should be hidden, right? Password is hidden. And if I submit the value, yes, the values are printing here. Now the next step is validation, because I didn't provided any validation, right? If I just click here, you can see it is printing without any values. Email and password is empty. So I need to provide validation. For that one, I am going to use a small library called Yup. Okay, so you can just search Yup npm. So I am going to install Yup here. So what I am going to do, yarn add Yup. I am going to install the small library. This is a validation library, Yup. So I need to provide validation for email and password. So what I am going to do, there is one more property for Formic, that is validation schema. Here you can see it is auto suggesting validation schema. So I'm just copying here. Oh, now what I need to do, I need to create a validation schema. So we can just check out the documentation, React Native Formic. Here you can see gates for validation. Now if you look into the example, you can see a validation using Yup. So here they are given validation for email, first name, email, right? So I'm just searching validation for email password. You can just search Yup validation for email and password. Yes, I symbol validation with Yup. Now you can check out this documentation, how to create validation schema, password, everything. So I am going to use this schema here. So I am going to import Yup here, import Yup from Yup. Now I need to create a schema, right? So as it is a login, I am going to create one schema, login schema here, right? Now if you look into the here, you can see Yup.object.shape. This is the schema create method. So you can just add this method here. Now I need validation for, I have added two properties here, email and password. I need to add validation for email and password, right? So we can just check out the documentation. Here you can see the validation for email is Yup string email, and this is a required field, right? So we can just copy this one, paste it here. Fine. Now what the next is, I need a validation for password. Here you can see the same Yup string, and this is a required field. Obviously password is a required field, and I am matching with a regular expression right here. So regular expression, and it is 8 characters, uppercase, number case, special character. So I can just copy this same. Fine. So I need to use Yup capital because I already, yes, it's fine. If you do not need a regular expression, you can just remove this one. As I am using a regular expression, I am just including this one also. If you do not want regular expression, you can just comment this one, it will work fine. So here I am using this regular expression also. Now what I need to supply the schema here. So what I am going to do, here I am going to supply login schema. Now if I just check the app, still I'm not able to see any error here, right? So I'm just typing password, email, and here I'm not able to see any errors, right? So I need to display the error, right? So for that one, what I need to do, I'm going to import one more properties, errors. Okay, here I am going to pass errors here before rather than hard coding the value. I am going to pass the value here, errors dot whatever the label I am given. So I'm just errors dot email, Now this for password, what I am going to do here, I am going to add errors dot password. So this whole thing is depend on the initial value. So that's why I'm saying you should always apply initial value. The values depend upon the initial value. The errors is depend upon the initial value. Whatever the values you are given here, that will be the label which is using for everything. So you should be very careful whenever you are supplying initial value. Now if I just refresh, I can go to the project. I can just refresh the screen. Yeah. Now if I just type something, see, it give me an error and it will not submit, it will not print the value under all the validation is correct, right? If I just click the submit button, see, this console is not printing because this is giving a validation error. So that's why the form is not submitting. So what we can do, we can just add one more thing. I am going to add one more thing, but is text. I only need to show validation error when that component is touched, right? Currently whenever you are opening the application, here you can see if I reload the application, if I am typing email, it's showing the error for password also. I don't want to show password error now. I only need password error when the password component is touched. So for that one, what I can do, I can just import one more thing. You can check the documentation for Formik for text. You can see. Yeah, you can in the section, the validation, the tutorial section, you can see the touched value. So I am going to use touched value here, touched dot email, and if email component only touch, if the component is touched only, I need to show touch value, right? You can see touched component, right? So it will give a true or false if the component is touched or not. So I am going to supply that one here. And also for the password, if password only touch, that time only I need to show the error. So I can just give touch dot password. Clear? Now if I refresh the screen, let's see. Can just type something. Now if I go here, see, email must be a valid function and password must be a contain function. If I just type here, see, email is required, password is, enter your password. So we have handled all the error case. We have added touched and error values. Now the next thing what we have left is we need to give a boolean which will be setting for handling the loader in the submit button, right? Whenever the validation is completed, if I touch the submit button, we are going to hit an API, right? At that time I need to show an indicator in the button. So for that one, what I am going to do here, I am going to pass one more thing, loading. Okay, one more property, loading. Fine. Here I am going to import one more thing, is submit. So this will give a true or false value whenever the form is submitting or not. So we can just pass that value here, is submitting, right? And the button, inside this button, we can just go to the button. If this is loading, right, we can show an indicator. We can just, if it is loading, we can just show an activity indicator. Yes, activity indicator. The color should be white and size should be, you can just large, and make this ternary condition. So you can inherit the property from loading, and we can just give true for now. Let's see what happened for the UI. Now if I just go here and refresh it, you can see the loader is coming. Now what I need to supply the is submitting value, right? Also what I am going to do here, in the handle submit, I can get the second function. Here values we are receiving, also I can get the value here set submitting. Fine. In the handle submit, I will get one more thing, set submitting. Sorry. Yes, set submitting. Now if I just set submitting true, fine, we can see the result. Okay, just I'm going here and I'm typing a email here. We can just see. You can just type one email here and I'm just typing a password. If I click submit, password might be at least 8 character one here. Okay, so you can just add a strong password. Fine. Now if I submit, see the loader is coming because we are managing this is submitting value using the function set submitting. Now if you want to call an API here, API dot in API here, you can call the API with the values. With the values, you can just pass the URL and you can just create an API here with the body, email and password. After getting the email and password, after getting this response, you can just make this false. So the loader will be false after getting the response. Clear? Fine. So we can jump into the next lecture.